to the second episode of The Quiet Hustle, presented to you by the RENU Sharma Foundation, a show which is a tribute to those who don't show off their journey. I'm your host, Sanchita, and today we have none other than the co-founder of Sattva Human Pvt Limited, Mr. Shiv Sood. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir.
Thank you so much, Sanchita. And hello, everyone. Hello, everyone who's listening to this and watching this.
So, so before we begin the series of question and answer, first let me give a brief introduction about you to our audience so they know you better. So, Mr. Shiv Sood is the managing partner at Sattva Human Pvt Limited, a dynamic human resource company based in Bangalore with global roots and reach. Based in New York, Mr. Sood is a seasoned leader with a deep-rooted background in human resource industry. But before stepping into recruitment, his journey began in training and development, where he mastered the art of nurturing talent and driving peak performance. As the co-founder of Sattva Human, he remains passionately committed to empowering teams, fueling business expansion, and building long-term, value-driven partnership with clients across the globe. Mr. Sood brings insight, empathy, and unmatched industry experience to every conversation. So, again, a very heartfelt welcome to you, sir, on the show.
Thank you so much, Sanchita. And thank you so much for the introduction. Just a little correction. We
Yes,
are
sir.
in Bangalore, but we are also headquartered in Pune. So we have
Okay,
offices in Bangalore, Pune, Gurgaon, and a couple of other places. But thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction.
okay. Yes, sir. And thank you so much. Actually, my team was trying to reach you out from a long time, but finally we are doing this. So, first of all, I would like to ask you, how are you, sir?
I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Just surviving the US life, I guess. But yeah, I'm okay. Thank you.
So, I think we could start with the question and answer session. So, my first series of questions will be related to you.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, while I was researching for you, I found out that you have completed your graduation from Delhi University with BCom. So, why did you choose to enter the HR field and work in the HR field?
Honestly, Sanchita, my educational credentials have very little to do with the career choice that I had. I started from a very humble background. After I finished my graduation, I started working with an organization, and back then in 2002, 2003, uh, the call centers, as we used to call them, or the BPOs, had just started their functions in India. So I joined one of them, and this was way back in 2003. I started company with a company called Converges. And honestly, when I started, my only intention was to make some pocket money, and that's about it, because it was way too early for the BPOs in the country, so there was no career progression as such that organizations had presented. Though there were career progressions, which we realized eventually. So it wasn't an informed decision. My educational credentials were absolutely inconsequential. However, graduate being a graduate was a must. So that's the only thing that I had in my mind. And when I started my journey with the corporates, I think the basic requirements was one of the basic prerequisites was to have somebody who's a graduate. So that's it. However, my HR journey, if your question was about HR, so that did not really start until 2012. Um,
Okay.
until 2012, I was part of the training and development. In all the organizations that I worked with, there was Wipro, there was Converges, there was IBM, there was WNS. All these organizations that I worked with, I held some senior leadership positions in training and development. HR was an extremely uh, undecided coincidence that happened. And when that started, again, I did not know that the company is going to become what it has become today. I started a very small firm, which was an extension of a family business that my dad and my brother used to run, and I just picked up one segment of that business, and I just was there because I had quit my job. I was based out of Philippines. I came back to India. and I had quit my job.
Okay.
um, and I did not want to go back to the corporates because, again, most of the opportunities that I was getting, they were mostly outside the the country or outside the Delhi NCR. And at that point, I wanted to be in Delhi. So I started the recruitment firm, which was an extension of my parents' business, my dad and my brother's business. And that's when the HR journey started. Just a small recruitment firm with a very, very small office which could hardly sit two people. And it was actually a team of just me and one more person. And that's how it started in 2012. But it was a pure coincidence. No, it wasn't intentional at all.
So, as you said, you dropped out of your job and then decided to start it. But it's a big decision to start on your own because there are a lot of challenges that you need to fit. There are a lot of things that you understand. So, how was this journey from like being a student to then working in the corporate and then becoming a boss itself, yourself? Like, how has your journey been?
Sanchita, it's interesting that you asked this question, but honestly, I haven't been able to find much of a difference between an employee and a business. And I'll tell you where I'm coming from. See, the moment you start the business, I think the common notion that everybody has is now you don't have to report to anyone. You can take vacation whenever you want to. You can take leaves whenever you want to. You don't have to answer the phone calls on the weekends. You have a lot of time for yourself and you make a lot of money. I can tell you that none of this is true.
Yeah,
Uh, the
relate.
concept, if you look at a corporate employee, um, or vis-a-vis a businessman, there is not much of a difference. We also, like a corporate employee, have reporting structures. The only difference is I don't report to anyone within my ecosystem, but I still have to report to a client. I can choose not to answer a phone call of a close family members, my kids, my wife, my parents, anyone who's there or not there, but I cannot not choose to answer a phone call of my client, which is pretty much similar to when you're a corporate employee. So that's one. So your reporting is still there, except that you still reporting to clients. Your performance is still being mapped, except that your performance is now mapped along with your organization's performance. So you're still responsible for the performance. Um, you still get money paid on a monthly basis. It's not that, the kind of business that we are in, it's not that the money will keep flowing in because there is, when you're an employee, as a matter of fact, when you're an employee, regardless of your performance, there is a fixed amount that you're going to get every month. But that's not the case anymore when you start a business. Your other responsibilities still remain the same in terms of managing a client or managing your team. The only thing that changes is that you no more have a fixed income. So the transition was not difficult. But I always believe that if you ever want to start your own business, it is imperative that you spend some time as an employee with an organization. You should, whether it's a small organization or a big organization, you have to and you should spend that much time as an employee with someone. What that does to you, that prepares you for the worst and best. That also develops your personality, not just personally but also professionally. That also readies you for the challenges that you may come across. That also puts you in a place where you understand how a corporate thinks. If you start your business without having any backup from a corporate, or without having any corporate experience, you will never be able to realize that how to deal with the corporates in a way which is absolutely diplomatic and yet business centric for you. So my journey, again, come back to that point, I think I did not really find it very difficult or a huge difference. It was a difficult decision basis that I will no more have a fixed income. But I think from the responsibility standpoint, it was pretty much same.
Okay. So actually, I also found your points very relevant because I see like my sister owns a small business. She has her own IT company in Jaipur. So
Okay.
like I see them working even and like I have seen like in festival time also they have a pressure of their clients to like design the posters for them, because every I think organizing or their clients, they publish for the wish like festival wishes and greetings and all. So yeah, they have to pick up the call. Bad thing is that they also have to work hard. There are liabilities, but there are challenges too. So I also learn from them, and like getting from your point also, I actually got a lot of new ideas. And like it's a good idea how you're sharing your experience, which I think will be very beneficial for the youth who are planning to start their own business. So thank you and very really wonderful answer.
Thank
So
you.
yeah. So, sir, my next question to you is like you have 20 years of work experience in this field. So, what changes have you noticed as previously, like in the working in 20 years, and what do you think might happen in the next 20 years? What would be the future of HR firms or this recruitment companies? What would be the future, and how do you compare it from like what were the things back like 20 years back?
My 20 years of experience is an amalgamation of my corporate experience and the HR firm. So, if you're specifically asking for my experience as a business person, that'll be for about 13 years. So, I can tell you the how the things were 13 years ago in the similar industry versus how they are now, and how do I see them in the next 5 years or 10 years. So, if that's your question, I can answer that because
Yes,
my 20 years is an amalgamation of
yes,
corporate experience and my personal experience. So, when I started the business, I think the things were slightly easier at back then. I remember the first contract that I got was um, I just called up this friend of mine who used to work. She was my college school friend, and she used to work with one of the clients that we had back then, and she used to manage the recruitments. And I called her and I told her that I've started this firm and I'm looking for some support. And she said, "Yeah, why not?" And she was very generous about it. But let me tell you, this was perhaps my 600th call. This was perhaps my 600th call to someone because when I started my business, I called up a lot of people. Uh, I called up all those people who at some point had promised me that no matter what happens, whenever you start the business, we'll be the first one to support you, first one to give you the business. In fact, the companies that I worked with at the leadership level, those companies also did not necessarily start giving me work because the moment you're on the other side of the table, the things dramatically and drastically change. However, credit given where it's due. So this friend of mine, she helped me to kickstart, and then I reached out to a couple of other clients. It was easy. You could just call people in terms of getting the contracts. If you have good connection, you will get the contracts, and you did not necessarily have to go through a lot of scrutinization. In the last 5 years, a lot has changed in terms of scrutinization. You no more are just an individual. If you call even your best friend or even your relative who is part of a bigger organization, or even somebody that you know for a long time, it is not just about one call will get you the business. There are a lot of things that happen now. Organizations want to check your background, they want to check your company's profile, relevance in terms of the kind of work that they are looking to outsource versus the kind of work that you are doing. Uh, they even so much so that they even get into your account sometimes, like how much are you making? So it's a lot different. But honestly, Sanchita, that also depends upon the size of the organizations. In our case, we don't work with any mid-size or small-size organization. We work with about 80 clients, and all the organizations we work with are part of the Fortune 500, or as a matter of fact, Fortune 100. A few, like for example, we work with the entire gamut of IT organizations, starting from Accenture, Cognizant, Wipro, Infosys, HP, you know, all of them, Tech Mahindra. Then we work with all the big fours. We also work with a lot of infrastructure companies, from Adani to Reliance to Praj to Tyson Group to Thermex to all of them. We also work with banks like Goldman Sachs. We work with banks like Paytm, IndusInd. We work with insurance companies like Gallagher, AXA, Excel. So all our clients had always been the top notch clients, the ones which are perhaps in the business for a long period and will perhaps stay for a long period. Uh, so that's also one of the things that happen, because these organizations really want to scrutinize your performance, your background, your strength, your weaknesses, everything. So it has become difficult to get the contracts. The other thing that has also changed is the kind of recruitments that we used to do back then versus what we do now. We started as just a very basic, simple, quintessential recruitment firm, where the only thing that we did was we got the requirements from the client, and we help finding those relevant profiles. Once the people got selected, we raised an invoice, we got our money, and we were done. That was called as a permanent hiring. But over the last 5 years or 6 years, that has also become very stagnated. Is a huge competition. A lot of people with a lot of experience, the backup of they're backed up by their HR experience, had started their firms like this. So that also became a challenge, because if you have to sustain, you have to evolve. Um, and then that's the time we decided to move into training. So while we were doing the recruitment with the clients, we also proposed different models in training, which included source, train, and deploy, which meant we source the people from the market, absolute freshers, train them on domains, and then place them in organizations. We also did a lot of bottom quartile training, corporate training, and other things which were relevant to industry. We also realized the need of contractual employment, which meant the organizations are no more interested in investing uh, or making a long term investment in people. A lot of organizations are now looking at project based investments, which meant if if there is a project that is for 6 months, organizations will rather pick up people for 6 months versus hiring them for for permanent, because then you have a huge obligation on you, not just in terms of salary but compliances, hiring cost, miscellaneous cost, administrative cost. So now they have moved into contractual hiring, which is also something that we ventured into. The third thing the organizations also wanted to do was they wanted to now consolidate their um, uh, hiring needs. So instead of going to 5 or 6 or 10 or 50 different vendors, they have now decided to consolidate the vendors who are based upon the performance and the size and the capabilities. And that's when the concept of RPO comes into picture. RPO stands for Recruitment Process Outsourcing. And we also ventured into RPOs, where we picked up the entire contract of the recruitment cycle of an organization. For example, what is a recruitment cycle? It starts from the time when the hiring managers or the business raises an ask and say that I need 50 people, let's say in F&A or technology. And though that's the first step. So the second step is creating a job description for those roles. The third step is sourcing for those roles. Fourth step is the interviews or coordination of the interviews or recruitment. The fifth one is the selection, then documentation, and then onboarding. Now, in most organizations, all these things are done internally. They have a team for sourcing, they have a team of recruitment, onboarding, documentation. But as an RPO, what we propose and offer is to take over the entire gamut of those services. How does that help organization? Now they're saving the cost in terms of um, having to have recruiters on the system or on their payrolls. They don't have to worry about the onboarding of those people. We will take care of that. They don't have to spend the money on the tools, resources. For example, for sourcing, you require an access to job portals. They don't have to worry about that. We take care of that for them. We also help them in building and doing and market mapping. So, for example, if there are roles that have appeared, we help them in identifying the salaries or the availability of people in the market, and based on that we propose our services. So RPO was another segment that we ventured into, which also gave us an idea of moving into an entire HR services, which meant while RPO is completely recruitment, we also thought it'll be a good idea to outsource to pick up the business for the entire gamut of HR services. When I say gamut, I'm talking about business partnering, policies, payroll management, recruitments, of course, exit management, people management, training and development, OD. So that is an entire HR services that we started proposing to the clowns. Now, we also moved from only and only working with the top notch clients. We decided to also tap into the mid-size and startups. So mid-size organizations and startups is the next step that we are now venturing into, because we want to take our proposals to them, show them what we are capable of, and give them very cost optimized and cost effective systems to set up their offices across India. Uh, and we are also now building our own AI system for recruitments. Because, and this also answers your question that how do I see recruitment or the HR industry in the next 10 years or 5 years or 20 years is a long time. But I can tell you over the next 5 years, the biggest transition that you're going to notice by the time you will be out and about in the market will be AI based services. um, there is a huge human intervention that is still required, but I think the biggest point is going to be how much of an AI can we utilize and use in the organizations. It saves them cost, gets them the desired results, shorter period, and definitely long lasting. So, 5 years or 6 years from now, only the firms, the recruitment firms that have developed an effective AI system are going to survive. There will be human intervention. Let me just tell you, there will always be human intervention. However, the effectiveness of introduction of AI is only going to make your team lean and more effective. So AI is going to be the future for mostly all sort of HR services.
Okay. So, like you have discussed about how you have been the journey and how you see the future, but like and like for an example, in the COVID days, the situation was very different. Like there are always some good days, some bad days. So, what do you do in this situation?
I think acceptance. I one thing I've realized is there are a lot of things that are written and that are being said about bad days, about stress, about mental wellness. I While I believe in all those things, but I also believe that the best way to deal with them, in my case, and I can tell you that every individual is different the way they handle the things. But in my case, I think the biggest strength that I have when it comes to the bad days or stress is to accept them, and say, yeah, this is a bad day and I am stressed, and not try to kill my stress by doing something, because that doesn't work with me. So if I'm stressed, a show on Netflix or spending time with my dog or doing other things, or going out or playing, or being with my family, my wife, my kids, none of it is going to help. It doesn't help at all. uh, because I am they can see that negativity, if I may use that word, or that stress on me, because I also, anybody who gets stressed, I think you can find out. I think it's easy. So I try and accept it. I try and accept the fact that I am stressed and I'm not in the best of the mental states today. And I try and just let it pass. And if I one of the things that I also try and do is uh, bifurcate the things that are in my control and the things that are not in my control. I mean, let's just give an example. If I have to go out and it rains, it's not in my control. So no matter what I do, no matter what I say, it's not going to help. So I would rather just accept it and stay home. And that is the same case with the stress. I mean, if my stress is caused due to some economic decisions taken by Donald Trump or Narendra Modi. It's nothing that I can do about it except accepting it and navigate my way in maybe some in through some other way, or navigate myself through something else. So acceptance, to me, accept it. If you have a bad day, accept it. Stressed, accept it. So yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, actually, really thoughtful because, like, when you try to distract yourself, it is always at the back of your mind. And even if you want to spend time with your family or make yourself happy, there is always a side of it that's affecting it. So I think that's the best thing. Like, you accept the problem and then try to move on from it, accept it, and yeah, like, boy, we can't do anything about it, and then work accordingly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
so.
if you see, you're literally battling your own self, you're fighting with your own self. A side of you, a part of you is stressed, and there is a part of you that is fighting with that stressed part to
Hmm.
either overcome. And one of the parts will have to live, right? One of the parts will have to win that battle, and you don't know which one. And it's not in your control either. Like, if I am stressed for something, I am trying to force myself not to think about it. That's not going to work, because a part of my brain will keep reminding me of that situation. So I will rather just believe that yes, there is a problem, and if I can solve this problem, great. If I cannot, I will just let it be. Let maybe hope that tomorrow is going to be a different day. That's it. Yeah, I mean, and again, like I said, it's how I deal with it. um, a lot of people have different ways to deal with it. They like to talk about it. They want to confine in their family, in their friends, with with therapists, everyone. I just don't think that it works for me, because if I talk about it, I keep thinking about it more and more, and that kind of troubles me.
Okay. But how do you disconnect from the emotional labor that comes with being in the HR firm? Like, what's your mantra that you work on it?
I'm sorry. I actually did not understand. So, what do you mean? Elaborate question. Sorry.
Like, there are a lot of emotional label also that comes with it. Like, there are situations which are not under our controls that makes us emotional, but you have to stand strong. So what, how do you distract yourself? How do you disconnect from those parts? Like, how do you know that, yeah, I have to overcome this, this is my mantra? Any specific that thing that you follow, like yoga or meditation or any practice?
No, I mean, I don't honestly. Like it, I can tell you that I go to gym, but uh, if I'm working out and there is something that hasn't really worked out for me, I don't think I'm even able to concentrate on my workout. I get very distracted. So I know it's a bad thing, and I know a lot of people say that you should meditate. Maybe I should, but I don't know if that's going to help. Um, but look, it's very interesting that we try and look. The solution of a problem um, cannot be something else. When if I am hungry, the only way to fix that is to eat. If I have to drink water, I have to drink water. I cannot have a problem. For example, let me tell you something. Okay, so we do get disappointments, right? For example, we pitch for a business, we don't get that business. We are disappointed, like super disappointed. Why? Because we are at a stage where we are thinking, why would a company not give us work? Or
Yeah.
why will a company not want to sign a contract with us? We are successful, we are big, we're all over the world, we are almost in every state in India. We are, so why would that not happen? But sometimes it doesn't. And that is disappointing, because it is not about the loss of the business. It is not even a personal loss. It is an emotional loss for you, because you start questioning yourself. It's like rejection. You know what I mean? um,
Yes.
like how you feel rejected by something, and then you start questioning your own self. And that happens all the time, all the time. You, like, I remember when all of us, you guys are young, right? I mean, sometimes you have a crush and your crush does not even pay attention to you, and you start questioning yourself. You look nice, you speak well, you do everything fine, but your crush still doesn't pay attention to you, and you feel that there is something wrong about you. So you start questioning your own self-esteem. So it happens. There are days when that happens. um, Two things that we do, we, at least in my case, I go back, I check where the things went wrong. I try and get the information that if this did not work out, what was the reason. Because I don't like to um, assume. I don't want to assume. Because when I start assuming, I think of the worst. Like, for example, if I wake up in the morning, I have a headache, I'm already thinking that I'm getting a stroke or I have a tumor. You know, I'm That's the level of overthinking that I do sometimes. So the moment there is something that hasn't worked out, I start thinking all the bad things in the world. Like, oh, this is going down. This client has said no. Now the other one is also going to say no. So I start thinking. So what I try and do is I try and go back and at least get the feedback. And that is what I try and do in every case. So if the things have not worked out in some cases, if I'm having an argument with my colleagues, if I'm having argument with my team, I go back. And that is why I really want to mention this person's name. He's my partner and a very very old friend. His name is Yogesh Tiwari. Um, we started the company together. If you talk to him, he's perhaps uh, he's a very simple person with a lot of emotions in him, you know. And I also know that he also gets very stressed. So do I. But somehow, every time I get stressed, I realize that he figures out that I am, and his tone changes. He suddenly will sound more upbeat because he doesn't say that don't stress out. He will simply just start sounding very positive, you know. And that makes a huge difference because a lot of these things in our organization, because he not only is a partner, a friend, a very close family friend, but he's also a very strong leader um, in terms of people, with amazing people skills, the way he manages people, the way he worked with the team, the entire organization. We work with close to about 1,200 people, all the people, and he would know everybody. He would know everyone's name. He would know what's happening in their lives. He would have the complete information of almost everyone who is a part of the organization. So, to me, one of the things that has also helped me is to have someone like Yogesh. Um, my wife and me, we share a birthday. My wife and me, we both have the same birthday. So somehow we both are overthinkers, and when I tell her something, and my wife is not Indian, so she's from another culture. She's Dutch. So culturally also, when I tell her something, she has a very um, um, how do I say? She's a very liberal way of looking at things versus I do. So these are the two people that I can tell you who just help me calming, and help me calm down, help me uh, think about things more positively. So yeah, so that's what I do, I guess.
Okay. So the next few questions is about Sattva Human Private Limited that
Mhm.
I would like you to answer for our audience.
Sure.
So, like, I was reading about Sattva Human. So, before I know that before it was known as United Overseas HR Consultant. Later, the name was changed to Sattva Human, and
That's
it was
correct.
started in 2008. But you joined later on, like 13 to 14 years back. So,
Yes, that is correct. I started in 2012. I joined 2012. That's correct.
okay. So, how was the journey you have witnessed till yet?
It's been eventful. It's been fulfilling and eventful. And of course, it's been a roller coaster. I mean, there have been things that have worked our way, there have been things which didn't. I think the real journey started in 2019 when Yogesh and me got together. He is, like I said, he's the partner and he's based out of Pune. And Yogesh and me, we go a long way back. We worked together in Wipro, in the same team, and we stayed in touch. And then we decided to bring the whole thing together and then started Sattva Human Private Limited. So we changed the name. Um, honestly, I still don't know why we chose Sattva, but I know it came from a word Sattvic, and it meant attributes, it meant holistic approach, and it meant positivity and few other aspects. And we wanted to inculcate all those things in the organization. So we started the company in 2000. You're right. 2008 was the first was the time when we started the company, and Sattva became Sattva in 2019 as a private limited company. The journey has been, like I said, it's been extremely eventful, from working in a small office to then moving into a bigger space, from there to a co-working space, and then to an individual office with which can house close to about 100 people right now, with seven different locations, including an international location. So it's been quite eventful, and today when I look back, I never ever thought that it will become what it has become. We currently clock in a revenue of close to about 100 CR. We are looking to go public in the next couple of years. So yes, it's been very eventful. Sorry, it's my dog.
It's okay. And like, I have a question, like, why would a company or anyone consult an HR firm? What benefits they get and what are the perks they get joining like a firm like Sattva Human?
Um, so are you talking about the people who work with us or the candidates who are looking for jobs?
Actually, from like people who join you,
People who
like
join
the
us?
yeah.
You know, so from an organization standpoint, I think what we have always tried to do is to have a very transparent approach. We never considered our employees as that they just do their job from 9 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock in the evening or 5:30 in the evening. I think the each of those employees have been part of the system where we had tried to offer them multiple career opportunities within the organizations and outside the organizations too. As a matter of fact, at least 30% of the population who worked with us eventually moved into the clients that we worked with. For example, there was somebody who used to work with us and was catering to one of our clients, large clients, Wipro. And over a period of 6 months to 1 year, Wipro decided to hire them. Similar was the case with WNS. Similar was the case with some other organizations. So what we offer them is a growth path, uh, a very transparent environment, an ecosystem where we try and maintain the balance between their work life and personal life. We also, like I said, Yogesh, my partner, would know everybody individually and everything that they do in their life. So it's a very holistic organization. So we value people and we value their aspirations. For example, if somebody has joined us as a recruiter, because we're quintessentially a recruitment firm, we do not believe that they have to be a recruiter all their life or become a recruitment manager. Of course, that's a career progression. At the same time, we also offer them the opportunity to move into other departments. To give you an example, we had at least 3 or 4 people who joined us in recruitment, and in period of 3 months, they realized that they would want to move into technology. So we have an in-house technology team, and they moved into tech support. We had someone who moved into HR services like HRPP. We had somebody who moved into project management, managing the entire projects and the client engagement. We also have training and development. So we also work with organizations where we provide the training services. So all of those things. So there is a very clear career progression, which is in line with the aspiration of people with which they come. And we don't care about the educational backgrounds. A lot of people that we have hired are undergraduates and they have still grown in the organizations. We strongly believe that your educational qualification, in a lot of cases, could be just a certificate. Of course, I value education like everybody does, but at the same time, that should not be a hindrance in your career progression. That should not become a roadblock for your aspiration, because I know personally a lot of people who quit their education for multiple reasons. But that doesn't mean that they cannot find a path for themselves. We also offer the in house training for these people, which means we picked up a lot of people who were freshers. They joined us as interns, and they still continued their journey with us even after 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. They became the permanent employees with us and even grew to become team leaders and team managers with us. So I can tell you that I don't want to claim that we are very different or an extremely, we are the best organization, but I can tell you that at least we know what our strengths are, we know what our weaknesses are. And when we hire people, we don't interview them at all. It's not that we just only we interview them. We want them to also know about us. We want them to ask questions. We want them to know that why should they join Sattva. So it's not always about why should we hire you. It's also about why should they become part of Sattva. And we have answers for that also.
Okay. So, like for candidates who join you, so what are the skills that you look for, or you prefer them, like prioritize those skills for the HR firm, or even how do you work on weaker candidates who need grooming, who need to learn more skills, like they have knowledge but they don't know how to communicate that. So, how do you work on those candidates?
In most of the cases, when we have hired freshers, um, we identify. So, for example, if there are people who come for interviews, the first quality and the only quality we look for them is have a strong will. See, any person is in a professional life, um, is is supposed to have these two capabilities: a skill and will. Skill is something which is domain. For example, if I'm hired for recruitment, I should know sourcing. I should know how to use the tools. I should know a little bit of computer. I should have communication. These are the few basic skill sets. And then comes the will. I may not be a great recruiter in terms of able to use the tool, or I may have some challenges in terms of my communication. I may also have some issues in terms of understanding the job requirement. But what I do have is a will to learn all these things. Our first priority is to hire people with strong will, strongly willed people. And then we can always teach them how to do things. People should want to know. We want people who want to learn versus people who know but they don't want to do it. So we will rather have people who want to do it but maybe they don't know how to do it, versus the people who know how to do it but they don't want to do it. So strongly willed people is our first prerequisite. Then, of course, comes the part where we look at in terms of what their career progressions are, what are the skills that they bring on the table in terms of relevancy with the kind of roles we are offering them. Also, culture. Culture is very, very important for us. A lot of times we have seen people find it challenging to adapt to a different culture. For example, if somebody has never worked in a recruitment firm, but they have always worked in a corporate, or for that matter, freshers, the people who are fresh out of the college. It is very important for them to understand that there will be a huge cultural difference that they will have to adapt to. As long as they are okay to adapt to that cultural difference, we are absolutely fine in hiring them. So yes.
Yeah. And even I think like there are many candidates who are skilled, but they are bound with many insecurities and their own self insecurities about their looks. There may be very many things that they are bound to, and I think that also hinders their skills a little because they feel like they lack something and they don't open ourselves. They don't open themselves to the public or and they need some guidance. So, how do you work on such candidates?
Um, low self-esteem is, I think, what you're referring to. A lot of
Hmm.
people
Yeah.
have those insecurities, low self-esteem. You know, look, that also comes to a point which is about will, right?
Hmm.
I'll give you an example. Okay, I have had this conversation with a lot of people where everybody talks about communication skills. Okay,
Hmm.
now my concept is very simple. What is communication skill? Is communication skill only limited to how well do you speak English? Or is communication is about how well do you communicate regardless of the language? I strongly think that yes, in a global segment, the kind of industry that we are in, it's a global industry. You need to have, you need to speak the language, you need to speak English. But that doesn't mean somebody who does not speak English as well as you do, or I do, or somebody else does, they don't deserve the chance to work with us or any organization. So we try and put them in a role where they have more exposure to exploit what they possess better than the other thing. For example, we have an infrastructure division where we don't need people who speak impeccable English, where we need people who speak. That could be a very basic local language. It could be Hindi, Marathi, Odia, as a matter of fact, Bengali, any language. Point is that you should be ready to take up that challenge that has come your way. And alongside, you also then make an effort to learn something new. Communication is directly proportional to your knowledge. If you speak well, but you don't know what you are talking about, your communication is inconsequential. So, for us, for example, there is a recruiter who knows. Let's say we are hiring somebody in um, let's say infrastructure space, which is like a civil engineer. Now, by and large, the industry of engineers also, they don't necessarily speak very good English because engineering and all these colleges also concentrate a lot more on the domain versus the skills of communication. Of course, the things have changed now. As long as we know that person understands the nuances and intricacies of the job, we are absolutely fine in hiring them. And because we have an in-house team to work with them on their communication, we also propose and offer them those training programs where they can be a part of the communication training in English or anything else. So we always give that opportunity to people. And for I think nothing will help your self-esteem than success. I, when I first, when I started looking for a job, Sanchita, this was way back in 2002, 2003. I gave interviews in at least six organizations, and I still can tell you the name, including Genpact, Wipro. There was a big company called um, Megamind, a lot of organizations. And I got rejected everywhere because my communication, it wasn't that I couldn't speak the language, but I had a very low self-esteem. I was extremely insecure about about the way I spoke. I came from almost a Hindi medium school. So even though I could speak the language, but I just did not know how to, sometimes you have it right there in your mind, but you're just not able to communicate well. So I had the same issue. When I got my first offer from an organization, I gave an interview in the month of April, first week of April. I still remember. And they gave me an appointment letter to join the organization after a month and a half. And my entire idea, and the reason why they said that we are giving you a month and a half is because we want you to go back and work on your communication. The first time when I got in a training badge, my trainer, after the first couple of interactions we had, she made a statement on record saying that it seems like I come from a vernacular background, which is true. So I had a low self-esteem. I had a lot of insecurities. But I think over a period of time, the only way I overcame that was when I started getting success at work. Nothing smells like success. The moment you start succeeding in what you're doing, everything else will become inconsequential. We have to wait. We have to be patient. I'll give you a funny example. You remember there was an interview when somebody asked Alia Bhatt a question about who was the president of the country, and that
Yeah.
became a huge national
Yes.
debate. And everybody started calling her stupid. I'll tell you why it is not stupid. If you have to go back and ask Alia Bhatt about acting, put me and Alia Bhatt in the same room, or put the most intelligent person, like a physicist, and Alia Bhatt in the same room. If Alia Bhatt has to ask physicist things about movies, he wouldn't know anything. They wouldn't know anything, right? And when the physicist has to ask question to Alia Bhatt about, let's say, common knowledge, blah blah blah, maybe she doesn't. But in the field that she is absolutely amazing in that field. She knows everything. She knows how to act. She would know more about movies and arts and crafts than anybody present in that room. That doesn't make her stupid. That makes her knowledgeable in the domain that she is.
Yes.
You don't have to be knowledgeable about everything. You don't have to know everything. We have to stop believing that as an individual, we have to learn everything. It is absolutely fine. Right from the time when we were born, I think one of the things that we are being told is be good at everything. There are 5 subjects, be good at everything. 7 subjects, be good at everything. Be a sports person also, be this also, be that. My concept is if you are good at something, try and get better at that instead of trying and picking up something else to become good at that also. If I am good at cricket, I will rather just continue to become better at cricket instead of picking up football also. So do not unnecessarily diversify yourself. Diversify yourself, no harm. But don't go overboard that I will do everything. So the only thing that will make the person with low self-esteem or insecurity um, become confident person is success. Concentrate on what you're good at. Identify your your strength. Figure out what you're good at, and then work on that one. Or maybe find a job which is related to what your strength is. Don't have to go out of your comfort zone to do something. Not always do you have to pick up a difficult path to find success. Sometimes you can find the success easy way also, and that easy way does not necessarily have to be easy money, but that easy way at least will bring you to a point where you'll be more and more confident. So that's what we believe in. That's what Sattva believes in. That let people succeed, and that will change them like you will never believe they will.
Okay. So, but sir, there are so many competitors in the market. So how do you tackle those competitors? Like
We
there
don't
are,
have to. Yeah, but there's enough and more work also, Sanchita. I mean, you have to stay relevant. See, like I said in the previous, when we were talking earlier about the future of the HR industry, you just have to stay relevant. And you have to just stop thinking about what somebody else is going to get. The point is that you can't replicate everything that's happening in the market. The best that you can do is to stay relevant. If we know that when we started as a permanent recruitment firm, then we moved into payroll, then we moved into contraction, then we also moved into RPOs, then we also moved into training. What we have tried to do is to stay relevant. A competition will always stay. It's not that we are the only company, and we are not. If we were the only company, we're perhaps the richest in the world, right? I mean, there will always be enough and more work for everybody to pick up. And we don't have to kill the competition. We just have to stay relevant and get what is available for our consumption. So instead of concentrating on what other businesses can get or what other organizations can pick up, why not concentrate on how do we pick up what is available in the market? So we are worried about the competition, but we are also sure that we have come to a point where organizations will be more than happy to work with us, and we are okay with the competition. So there is no harm. It's always okay to have competition. No harm there.
okay. So my last question for the day is like any message from your side to the students or people who want to start their own business but don't know how to start it? Like the starting point, how to initiate the process of starting their own business to make it a successful one.
I'm going to tell you a very unpopular opinion. Everybody talks about a plan A, plan B, plan C. I always tell people do not have plan B. Just have one plan. The moment you have a plan B is what is when you always have something to fall back on. Uh, I believe if you know that this is where you are, this is your strength, you have identified your strength, you know this is what you want to do, make that your priority. Get married to that thing. or get into a permanent relationship with that thing, that this is my plan A and this is it. And this is something that Yogesh, like, again, I'm mentioning the person, he told me that he, well, as long as when he had plan A and plan B and plan C, he was always complacent. He was like, yeah, if plan A doesn't work, मैं plan B कर लूंगा, then plan B doesn't work, plan C. So you will not even know when your plan A will suddenly become your plan C, because you're so all over the place. So my opinion, find your strength, find your aspiration, match them, and make one plan. And give that plan a period of time. Uh, do not spend your entire life building something that you have realized may not build. For example, I wanted to be a cricketer, but after I turned 26, 27, I realized it is not going to be possible. I can't keep going to a cricket field or to training institutes and asking them that I want to now get selected for an international team or a domestic team, because I know that time is over. Whatever aspirations you have currently, you guys are young. Give yourself a time period. Do not spend your entire life on becoming a musician or becoming a dancer or becoming. They are great. I'm just saying, but investing more time than it deserves is also killing your other opportunities. So have one plan, give that plan some time before you move to other thing. Most likely, if your strength and your aspirations are in line, that plan will always work. In the rare situation when it doesn't, trust me, it will. And the second is, do not ever believe that you are a self-made person. There is nothing called as a self-made person. The entire concept of the self-made, which we hear, is based upon only one concept. I did not take help from my parents. That doesn't make you self-made. When you're a person, when you have built something, imagine the number of helps you have taken. Your parents still gave you a roof. They still put the food in your plate. Your clients gave you business. Your employees brought success to your business. Everybody you are talking to is part of your success. So you are never self-made. Get that thing out of your head that you will ever be a self-made person. Anybody who ever says I'm a self-made person is the biggest manipulator and the thankless person that you will ever come across, because they have forgotten to thank all those people who have put the roof on their head, food on their plates, and also the people who helped them become what they become. Would Shah Rukh Khan be a Shah Rukh Khan if he did not get the movies from those people? Everybody says he's a self-made person. How? He came and somebody gave them the movies, right? So, so it's always, yeah. So these are the two things. Plan A is the plan A, and do not believe in the concept of self-made. Help, seek help. When you need help, take help. It doesn't make you smaller.
Okay. So thank you so much, sir. And I really found your answers were really meaningful and actually inspiring. And like, I think you didn't sugarcoat anything. Everything was real and from your experience that you had. And very, very thank you for this episode. And
Thank you,
you gave
Sanchita.
your precious time to us. So it
Sure.
was very
Thank you.
grateful to work with you. And I hope we will be doing another episode if
Sure.
like another topic discussing more things. And
Sure.
so that with that we come to the end of this episode. So to all the people watching this episode with us, make sure to like and share this video and comment your thoughts in the comment down below. And for more such videos, subscribe to the Quiet Hustle. And thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Sanchita. Yeah. Have a good day. Bye
Thank
bye.
Yes, sure, sir. Thank you.